My name is Jessica Vitiello, and I'm going to be talking to you today about how you can obtain a visa to go work in South Korea. So, there's a bunch of different types of visas that you can actually get to go work in Korea. I'm going to name off of a few. So, one is the short term employment, professorship, foreign language instructor, research, technology transfer, professional employment, special occupation. So all of these visas are actually accepted to work in Korea, and all the qualifications are the same for each visa. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to be talking to you about today. Number one is the cost for the visa. Number two is the travel documents required. Number three would be the time limit to work in the country. Can a spouse, partner, common law, same-sex partner work in the country? And are there any implications for spouse partners who are in common law or same-sex relationships, and limitations or issues for working in the country? So let's start with the cost for the visa. So single entry visa up to 90 days can be $40 Canadian. More than 90 days will be right around $60, and multiple entry visas can be in between $80 to $90. So the special fees may apply depending on what nationalities apply. They can be obtained at the Korean embassy or consulate with jurisdiction over the applicant's place of legal residence. The Ministry of Justice confers with the representing agency and determines whether the visa should be authorized. So there's a couple of basic requirements to qualify. Number one, you need 2 passport-style photographs in color. 2 is a copy of the passport ID page. You need a resume because you are going there for work. Copy of academic credentials. Original assignment letter or contract to where you are actually going to work in the country, proposed job description, completed and signed visa application form, application fee, and your passport has to be valid for at least 6 months from the date of the application. And the visa fee, like I said, is right around $50 Canadian. So the travel documents that are going to be required would be the visa application form signed by the applicant. Like I said, original photocopy of the passport, your employment contract. You also need a recommendation of employment certificate, a copy of Korean company's business, and a personal reference letter. So there's a couple of limits when you work in Korea. So one would be the time limit. So nationals of Canada can stay up to 6 months without a work visa. If you plan to work for a non-Korean company for less than 5 years, you do not need to register with the Korean Social Security system. If you plan to work in for a Korean company for 5 years or longer, you're required to enroll in the Social Security system. High-scoring skilled foreign workers are granted F2 visas, and all work restrictions are removed after 1 year's stay. So an F5 permanent stay visa for workers living in South Korea for 3 years are receiving F2 visas. So that's the time limit. So once again, you can stay up to 6 months. No visa required. If you plan on working for a non-Korean company, you can stay less than 5 years, and you don't need to register Social Security system. If you stay for 5 years longer, you do need to register. And there's a bunch of different type of visas. F2 visa are all of the restrictions are removed after a year. An F5 permanent stay visa for workers living in South Korea for 3 years are granted. So next topic is, can a spouse, partner, common law, same-sex partner work in the country? The spouse of a dependent should apply for their visa the exact same time that the other applicant does, and one who's actually going to work there. All members of the traveler's family over the age of 16 are subject to fingerprint when applying. If the company spouse plans to work while abroad, they also must apply for the exact same visas, all the work visas, and need to have their employment authorized. So basic requirements for a spouse to qualify would be same thing. 2 passport-style photographs. You need a copy of the marriage certificate of the spouse, copy of birth certificates of the children, and copy of passport ID pages. And same-sex marriages are actually not accepted in South Korea, although male and female same-sex sexual act is legal, but they are trying to pass a law where you are allowed to have a relationship with the same sex. So homosexuality is not condoned by the military either. So that's a big no-no in their eyes. So Any implications for spouse partners who are in common law or same-sex relationships. Two people of the same sex who work to wish in South Korea together may not get married while in the country because they do not condone same-sex marriage. Discrimination towards partners of the same sex, though, is very apparent in South Korea, and people may face jail time for actually discriminating against people. And limitations or issues working in the country. So if you wish to change employers while working in the country, the foreign employee will need to have their visa changed. This can be done without leaving South Korea if the applicant has all the documents needed for the visa and if their current employer signs a letter of release. So in order to change employers, you might also have to undergo a full medical in South Korea, a hospital, as well as obtain a valid criminal clearance certificate. Language barriers and tight social business circles also limit certain opportunities, so that might be an issue for working there. It's suggested that you find work prior to entering the country to avoid any problems actually getting a visa. Application forms may not always be in English when applying to multinational companies, so that's something to always be aware of. That may be a limitation that you need to try to undergo a certain way. And some areas of work may require foreign employers to write a Korean language proficiency test, which focuses on the practical communication skills needed to live and work in the area. So that's everything. So you have the cost, time limit, travel documents, and can spouse and same-sex partners work in the country. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.